League. Let's get to the Fallers. Only a couple of these as well. I put Dalvin Cook in here. He was my running back 25. He's now my running back 30. I kind of feel like I might move him down another 5 to 10 spots after we finish this conversation. Because I look at Zeke, I look at Fournette, I look at Hunt. They're all already outside of my top 40. And I think about what's the history of 27, 28-year-old running backs who are free agents in the NFL at the start of August, which we're almost to, and then actually make an impact in fantasy football. I just wonder, especially with this recent news that Dalvin Cook allegedly tried to get somebody to take some money to take back some testimony. I've got real concerns that he's just not going to be a starting running back for fantasy football purposes again. Adam, where are you at on Cook, and do you have any hope for this quartet of veteran running backs? Like, I thought when Melvin Gordon signed with the Ravens, I mean, it's silly, first off. I don't think he's going to matter. But it really showed that the way you get signed as a running back, especially a veteran, is by be willing to take almost nothing guaranteed. And these guys don't seem to be willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for Dalvin for fantasy, like I feel like it either has to be Miami or I just don't have a lot of interest, because I know it's been pretty much those three AFC East teams minus Buffalo that have been kind of linked to him, with New England, the Jets, and the Dolphins. But like, the Jets would be a train wreck. Miami would give me at least a little bit of hope, but right now I just don't see much there. I mean, teams clearly aren't in a rush to sign a running back, and like, best case, Dalvin goes to Miami, where like they were, even with Mike McDaniel there, they transitioned to a pass first team, so like it wouldn't even be that good. I just think it would give them the best opportunity to get most of the carries, as opposed to obviously the Jets with Breece Hall, and then the Patriots with Ramondre Stevenson, who obviously we've seen them with, talking to Fournette and Darrell Henderson. So for me, I'm just kind of like, there's really nothing I'm really looking at with Dalvin Cook right now. There's nothing really going on.
Chris, do you think that Dalvin Cook's even still good?
That's what I was looking at right now. Is you look at like the next gen stats, and there are reasons to be skeptical of the utility of those stats and how much they're team dependent and not player dependent. But he had the fourth lowest rush over expected rate in the NFL last season. He was below average in terms of per carry efficiency. He, just by the eye test, it looked like he lost a step. Like, I was going to make the joke that, like, is the case for him in Miami that everyone else is so much faster than him that the defense just forgets about him? That he's like 12 yards behind the rest of the offense and just gets to run free. I generally think Fournette, Cook, Elliott, like, even if they land in a decent spot, they're probably just guys now. And it's just the landing spot is what matters more than the player at this point. And so, hey, if he signed with Dallas, he might get 10 touchdowns. And
that's the team I've been waiting
yards.
for, honestly.
Yeah, like that. They have to add someone, right? They can't go in with Malik Willis or Malik Davis and Deuce Vaughn as their number Jones. 2 and 3. Yeah, like that just, it seems unlikely that they're going to go in. I would guess they're going to re-sign Ezekiel Elliott for $2.5 million or whatever it'll end up being. But yeah, like Miami wouldn't even really excite me, just because it doesn't seem like a particularly good offense for running backs. They don't throw to their running backs a lot. They involve the fullback in the offense quite a bit more than your typical team. So I don't see much to be excited about there either.
I saw, and I'm more optimistic about Deuce Vaughn having a role for the Cowboys this year than other people, at least until they do sign Ezekiel Elliott. But they had a series with the Cowboys beat writers, and I don't remember what the name of it was. But it was basically 20 questions where 3 or 4 of them answered the question. One of them was like, what is the role for Deuce Vaughn? And they were all pretty united in thinking that it's going to depend on whether he can hold up to the physicality of the NFL, but they all think the Cowboys plan on him having a role this year. One person actually brought up, and I don't remember which one it was, that the Cowboys really were impressed with what Deuce Vaughn did in short yardage, because he's so small that he just slides through cracks.
Danny Woodhead used to be a better short yardage guy than you might think, if I remember correctly.
So I would love it if we could just see like a 10-touch Deuce Vaughn season. I think that would be the most fun thing. Let's get to the Titans, the other The other Titans, Traylon Burks, Chigo Okonkwo, 2 other fallers. And I will admit, Adam, I was too high on Traylon Burks before the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I thought the breakout was coming this year. He was my wide receiver 15 in Dynasty. I've dropped him down to wide receiver 23. Chig was my tight end 14. I've dropped him down to tight end 18. Am I overreacting to an old wide receiver changing? The thing that made me excited about Burks was that we had seen him dominate targets on a run-heavy team with a bad pass offense and still be an effective option in college. I don't think he has that opportunity anymore.
Yeah, for me, it has nothing to do with Burks. Like when he was healthy, I just always go back to that Green Bay game where he was really winning against Jair Alexander. It was really impressive. And he had really 2 unfortunate injuries. It was a concussion and turf toe. But when he was healthy, he was showing a lot. For me, it just comes down to the fact that, do you think Tennessee has enough passing volume to support 2 wide receivers? I don't think they will. And that's really the end of it. But on a per target basis, I expect Burks to be really good again.
Right.
It's just unfortunate because Hopkins, we both when we talk about it, clearly believe he still has plenty left. And if he has plenty left, he probably garners at least a 25-26% target share, and that's just going to be tough for Burks to get much going elsewhere. But is he going to be somebody you can't even remotely consider in fantasy? Absolutely not. But it's going to obviously lower his ceiling quite a bit, at least for the immediate future.
I will point out we've seen it.
Yeah.
Tennessee in 2022 had 2. I believe Corey Davis and AJ Brown were both top 25 in points per game that year. Corey Davis only had 92 targets. AJ Brown only had 106. They both missed a couple of games, but Corey Davis was on 112 target pace. I think that's a reasonable, probably more like a 75th percentile outcome for Traylon Burks, especially if DeAndre Hopkins stays healthy. But I actually think it's an opportunity to buy. If you believe in the talent, it's still, they added a 31-year-old wide receiver on a 1-year deal, right? Or was it a 2-year deal?
It was a 2-year deal.
2-year deal, but I would guess not much guaranteed for next year, so they could walk away from that pretty easily if they need to. It might be a tough season for Traylon Burks, but if he shows that elite per route and per target efficiency like we're hoping he will, there's still room for him to break out in 2024 while still potentially being useful in 2023. It might be as a wide receiver 3, but if DeAndre Hopkins is a 28% target share, Traylon Burks could still have a 22% share, and that won't be super impressive, but it could be 110 targets.
They can scheme touches for Burks in ways they couldn't for Corey Davis too.
Yeah, he's an after the catch guy, so they could do jet sweeps and motion and stuff like that that'll get him the ball. So I'm a little more bearish on Traylon Burks than I think Heath was coming in, but I think I didn't really move him down in my 2023 rankings because of this. I think I dropped him from a 23% target share to a 21% target share. So it really didn't impact how I view him too much because I'm not 100% convinced he's an alpha yet. But if you think he has that potential, right now is a great opportunity to buy Traylon Burks.
I've already bought a lot, but you guys go.
You can't trade. You can't trade with yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate the optimism. I hope that Chigo Okonkwo is not talked about next year as Alberto is talked about this year. But it kind of feels like that might be the way that it goes, where he's just one of those super, super efficient guys, but not going to be enough targets with both Hopkins and Burks.